I want to start this off by saying congratulations to the New York Islanders. They did something I haven't seen done to the Penguins in such a long time, and that is shut them down. And that deserves credit. So congratulations to the Islanders. They definitely deserve to go to the second round. I'll keep it real. I'm not going to be rooting for you guys unless you play the Capitals. I might be cheering for you just a little bit. So anyways, the Penguins get swept for the first time since 2013. Game 1 was disappointing. Game 2 was frustrating. Game 3 was a little bit of both. And Game 4 was me just accepting that this team is about to get swept. The Penguins were getting absolutely shut down, and even when they did get a good chance, it would find a way not to go in. And there was 2 plays that I saw today that kind of described that. The first one was from Crosby when Kessel gave him a beautiful pass. He had a whole open net and he hit the post. When I saw that, I knew that this team was getting swept. And the second one was in the third period by Phil Kessel. He had a whole wide open net that he would score most of the time, but the Islanders defenseman does a great job of getting in the way of it and saving the goal. But before I get into what should the Penguins do for the offseason, let me just give some final notes of the series. I don't care if you think the Penguins should have kept Fleury or if you hate Matt Murray. This is a series where you cannot blame Matt Murray. Last year when the Penguins lost to the Capitals in 6 games, Matt Murray was inconsistent throughout that playoff run. He had good moments, but he had his bad moments. There, you could put some blame on Matt Murray. I'm not saying it was all his fault last year, but you could definitely put blame on him. This series, you can't put not even a little bit of blame on him at all. This was not Matt Murray's fault. The story of the series again tonight, terrible pinching leading to 2-on-1s, bad stupid turnovers, and just not covering your man in the defensive zone. It was just a disaster defensively for the Penguins this series. You can't put blame on Matt Murray. Usually goalies that get swept have a save percentage of well under 900. Look at Andrei Vasilevsky, who has an 856 save percentage, who also got swept. And now let's take a look at Matt Murray, who had a 906 save percentage and got swept. It's not the greatest, but again, it's amazing for a team who got swept. Matt Murray even has a better save percentage than Marc-Andre Fleury through 4 games. And it's not even that close either. Like I said, Murray with a 906, Fleury with an 897. But obviously, we're not going to look at numbers because Fleury's team is up 3-1 and Murray's team is swept. It goes to show you that it's not just the goalie, and maybe, just maybe, a team has a part in the wins too. Anyways, enough of this. Let's talk about what do the Penguins do now? Where do they go from here? Now, many fans want a whole-on retool. They want people to get fired. Now, I am on board with a retool. I'm just not on board with an entire rebuild. I don't think anybody needs to get fired. I don't think we need to trade Phil Kessel. For some reason, his name gets brought up all the time. But I do think we need to revamp that entire defense because it's a joke and it cost the Penguins the series. The only defensemen that are safe for me is Brian Dumoulin and Chris Letang. And yes, I know Chris Letang didn't have a great series, but guess what? No defenseman had a great series. At least Chris Letang provides offense too. And he had a really good season offensively and defensively. Just had a really bad first round along with every other Penguins defenseman. But the bottom 4 needs a major retool. I know a lot of people like him and a lot of people hate him, but Olli Maatta has to go. I personally love Olli Maatta and I think he's a solid defenseman. But the fact that he didn't play at all after game 1 shows me that he's actually going to be the first one to go. It's not like they took out Olli Maatta and the defense got this much better. If anything, it stayed the same or it actually got worse. So for that reason, I think he's one of the first to go. Then you gotta look into trading Jack Johnson. I know it's impossible, but I'm sure there's going to be somebody out there, one stupid GM that's going to trade for him. I'm willing for the Penguins to add picks and prospects for that to happen. Depends on the picks and prospects though. I wouldn't part ways with the first or with a guy like Callan Addison or Jordy Bellery. But I definitely part with a second and a third or 2 seconds or 2 seconds and a third just to get rid of Jack Johnson off this team. Erik Goodbranson I actually like. The only problem with Goodbranson is that he's about $1 million overpaid, but there's really nothing we can do about that. He's actually not bad on the ice. He's not at all what the Canucks fans described him to be. I personally don't think he's a liability. Does he make bad plays here and there? Yes, every defenseman does. Justin Schultz you want to keep, and I would always include him in the Letang Dumoulin conversation of players you don't want to trade. I definitely think we should keep Schultz. He's a great puck-moving defenseman, but I definitely would throw his name out there. Because I don't want to scare anybody, but he does have 1 year left on his contract after this year. So next year is going to be his last season on his contract. And I actually do think we can get him for less than what he makes now, which is $5.5 million. Because when he signed that contract, he was coming off of a career year. Since then, he's dipped a little. So I think we can get him for under 5, in my opinion. Definitely throw his name out there because I could see a GM overpaying for a right-handed puck-moving defenseman. Marcus Pettersson, you definitely keep as well. For a 22-year-old playing in his rookie season, I thought he was great. He didn't look 22 at all. He looked like he's been here before. Can you imagine him a year older and a whole summer of training coming into next year as a 23-year-old defenseman? I definitely think he can crack the top 4 for next year. So to sum it up, trade Olli Maatta, clear $4 million right there. Try and trade Jack Johnson. I think it's impossible. Throw Schultz's name out there. See what you can get back. He's not a must trade though. And I know this is a bit of a long shot, but I definitely would think about playing Callan Addison next year. I know he's going to be 19 years old, but you can definitely shelter his minutes. Play him 10 to 12 minutes a night, give him some second power play time, give him some games off by healthy scratching him. Because in my opinion, a big problem with this blue line, other than their defensive issues, is that they couldn't move the puck up the ice to the forwards. And to fix that via trade, I think you're going to have to overpay big time. So instead of going to the trade option, look through your system, and a guy like Callum Addison can help them big time with that problem. And I think putting Addison in the NHL would help his development way more than putting him in the WHL again to dominate. Give him some ice time, let him learn from his mistakes, let him learn the NHL lifestyle, and even a guy like Sergei Gonchar, who's so underrated to have on his team, is going to help him big time. I'm not saying guarantee him a spot on the lineup, but if he does have a good training camp and a good preseason, definitely look into it. And the only good thing about getting swept and losing in the first round is that our first round pick should be in the 16 to 19 range. And I read that this is going to be a pretty deep first round. And I think it'd be perfect if you can get a solid puck-moving two-way defenseman with that pick. And if we're talking major retool, this is going to suck, but I think Patrick Hornqvist, you have to look into trading. It really does suck to say that, but I think his injuries and how he's been playing has caught up to him. And it definitely showed this year because he was invisible, I'll say a good 75% of the time. And I don't think his contract has reached the status of being bad yet, so I think a team would like a guy like Patrick Hornqvist on their team. Now, do I think we should trade him? I say no, but if we're doing this retool thing, I definitely think his name should be thrown in there. Phil Kessel, I think, should stay. I mean, the guy almost put up 30 goals, was point per game, and was considered in a slump for majority of the season. If you're looking to rebuild, then go ahead, trade him. But if we're really doing a retool or whatever, I think Phil Kessel helps us next year more than what we would get back for him in a trade. Other than that, I think the fourth line should get revamped. Matt Cullen has to go. He needs to retire. For the fourth line center, replace Matt Cullen for Teddy Bluger. Garrett Wilson needs to go. I don't think we should trade him or anything, but he's not an NHLer. He was great in the AHL as the captain of Wilkes-Barre, and I definitely like him in doses. I think he'd be a great guy to call up when there's an injury, but don't be making him one of your regulars. And if they do trade guys like Mata or Hornqvist or whoever they trade, they're going to free up cap space to be more active in free agency. Now, please, Jim Rutherford, don't be making trades to clear cap space just to sign another Jack Johnson for 5 years. And the other good thing about getting swept is that Jim Rutherford will make changes. You have to. You're not just going to get swept and then go through the whole offseason like nothing happened. Because if we pushed a 6 or 7 and still lost, I could definitely see Jim Rutherford doing nothing at all, maybe a tweak here and there. But anyways, that's a wrap on the video. It's a wrap on the playoffs, and unfortunately, it's a wrap for the entire regular season. This is definitely a weird feeling. I'm trained to have hockey go through May, and the fact that we're ending right now, it still hasn't hit in. It's going to hit Thursday when I realize the Penguins don't play, and they don't play at all until October. Then it's going to really suck. I'm definitely going to be active through the offseason. That's where I'm going to be making videos about the draft, free agency. And then July, August is where we're going to make the channel fun. You know, discussions, throwbacks, some top plays. I know you guys love my top plays on the Instagram accounts, so I'm definitely maybe going to bring them back for the YouTube channel. Anyways, I'm stalling at this point, but thank you guys so much for watching. It's been an honor doing these videos throughout the whole year. I will definitely see you guys in the next video, and as always, thank you so much for watching.